Are you calling it to order?
Yes, it's 6:01 on May 26, 2021. I'm Board President Sylvia Hassai, and I'm calling this special meeting of the Kensington Police Protection and Community Services District to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Director Dippy?
Here.
Vice President Natoli?
Here.
Director Shiris Watt?
Here.
President Hassai?
Here. Okay, I will now ask for public comment on any items not on the agenda.
Sylvia,
Yes.
for a special meeting, you only call for comment on items that are on the agenda.
Thank you. It's such an unusual experience. Appreciate that guidance. So any comments on items on the agenda? I am looking to see if any of the attendees have raised their hand. And at this point, Linnea Do. Linnea?
This is not on the agenda, but I'm wondering if you guys could enable gallery view.
No, and no. Sorry. Thanks.
Sylvia, why can't we enable gallery view?
Because I don't see how to do that. Hold on a second.
Isn't it just your choice up in the upper right-hand corner? That's what I do.
That's up to, that is up to you, Linnea. It is on gallery view for me, but you have to enable gallery view.
No, it just switched to gallery view, so now it works.
Oh.
I can't do it. I've,
Okay.
hunted all around. You guys have to do it.
Attendees can't change it. You have to set it on your end. But you're a host, so now you did it right.
I've got it. Thank you. Sorry about that. I thought that was up to, when I'm on a regular Zoom call, I can change it all I want. All right. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the procedure for filling the vacancy created by the resignation of Director Cyrus Madavi. And I will allow the staff to go ahead and introduce the item and set it up for us for our discussion.
Yes, Madam President, I did write the staff report or the agenda report for this particular item. As many on the board will recall, this is similar to the situation we found ourselves in back in 2017. As was announced by the board at their last regular meeting, Director Cyrus Madavi announced his resignation on May 13. This starts a clock ticking for the board to take action to fill that vacancy. Essentially, you have until July 12th to either fill the vacancy or call for a special election. And if you don't take either of those actions by the deadline, the Board of Supervisors has the option of taking them for you. So there are two different routes that you can use to make an appointment. One would be to simply call for, announce 15 days ahead of time by posting notices that there's a vacancy. And then at an open meeting, make the appointment. The term of the new director at that would be until the end of Cyrus's term, because he was in the second half of his term. And that's easy and relatively quick. The other method would be by calling for a special election. The board would adopt a resolution calling for the election. We'd so advise the county that would hold the election and ask that we reimburse them for the costs, because there are no other items scheduled to be put before the voters at the next election date, which would be November 2nd. The cost to the district would be between $34,000 and $52,000. If the board decides to call for the election, we'll bring back a resolution at the board's next meeting. If the board decides to make an appointment, it has a limited amount of time to do so. So we want to act with a certain amount of haste, decide when the date is that the board would make the appointment, put out the notices with any requirements that the board wishes to impose. Perhaps if the board wishes, it could hold interviews, as it did when we filled the vacancy created by the resignation of Director Cordova, and then make an appointment. The general manager has created an application form for the board's consideration that's attached to the staff report that would enable the applicants to all have a standardized set of information that they present in connection with their application. Fiscal impact, again, relatively little if the board decides to make an appointment, between 34,000 and 52,000 if the board decides that it wants to call the special election. With that, I will offer up to the general manager for any comments that she might want to add.
Well, really quickly, just I kind of looked around throughout the internet for a standardized application form, and that was my contribution to Ann's staff report, and thought that it might be helpful to standardize it with the same questions for everybody who's interested in possibly being appointed. And, you know, certainly we could change questions or not do that, or it could just be a letter and a resume, however the board's your discretion, however you want to do it. I just thought that this would be a helpful start to a discussion about a possible standardized application form.
Okay, thank you. I'd like just to open it by asking, is there anybody on the board who believes that we should incur the expense of a special election? Okay. I kind of thought that would be the answer, but want to get that maybe out of the way. And so we are then looking at an appointment process before we get to the specifics of the application. I wonder if we could just go over the dates again, and by what date must this appointment be made?
July 12th.
Okay. And we have to post the announcement and the process by which we're going to fill the appointment 15 days, at a minimum of 15 days prior to taking any action.
At a minimum of 15 days, and I would recommend doing it sooner.
Yeah, okay. So the other question I have, just as a practical matter, is can this be done at a special meeting, or does it have to be done at a regular meeting?
It can be done in a special meeting. I believe it was done in a special meeting last time.
Okay, I mean, the reason I ask is that I know our June agenda is within 15 days and it's full because of the budget. And then our next meeting, I'm not sure if it's July 11th or 10th is the first meeting of the.
It's before the 12th, as I recall, but it's cutting it pretty close.
Right, it's cutting it close.
It's the
It's the 10th, right? Yeah, so.
no, it's the
No,
8th.
it's the 8th, okay. So, but it is a little close. So I think one of our choices is, do we do it at the 8th, or do we have a special meeting, you know, to do it? So that's just kind of an outstanding question. I don't know if we decide that first, or we want to go over the application first. Any board director want to offer up anything here about, go ahead, Director Saraswat.
Well, I would say that given the fact that our June schedule already has 3 meetings in it, and I know it's close, but even the turnaround for our staff to get the regular agenda for July 8th is going to be tight. And I think that we should just, I know it's close, but I think we should wait until July 8th and appoint then, because I mean, truly adding a 4th meeting to June when they've got to do the budget is not fair. It's,
So we have
you know, and I would struggle to participate even
So-
at that point,
So we
because
have our June 10th meeting, and then the other meeting in June that we have scheduled is
is the
to do the budget
17th.
before the end of.
Yeah, if we want to
That's
participate.
that's not a meeting for us. That's a public session on the budget.
No, but it is our staff. And then, and if we want to listen in, or, you know, and then we've got the 29th of June as well.
So the 10th and 29th are our regular, are our meetings. Should we consider the 29th as a possibility?
Well,
Because-
No, I don't think so. I think that's approving our budget. I think we really need to make sure that we've handled the budget thoroughly and completely.
I just have a question that might help answer this, which is on the staff report, it says set a meeting date for making the appointment on or before July 12th. And I guess, is it that we have to set the meeting date before July 12th, or we have to make the appointment before July 12th?
You have to, if you were going to call the election, you could call the election as late as July 12th. But if you're going to make an appointment, you have to make the appointment by July 12th.
Okay, all right.
So I'm not really advocating one way or the other too strongly. I just wanted to know what the possibilities are. So it strikes me that the 8th is, of course, the last regular meeting we could do it at. And if folks are feeling comfortable that we could schedule the appointment as part of that agenda, we could agree to do that. And then if for any reason there was some problem, we would still have a few days before the 12th. How are people feeling about that schedule?
Say it again, Sylvia?
So Rachel is suggesting that we add the appointment to our July 8th regular meeting, which would have then, the budget should be completely out of the way at that point. And I don't know what else would be on our July 8th agenda at the moment, but this would be one of the items then.
I had just a small comment. I know it sounds like we've all defaulted and we all agree to having the appointment, but is it something that we should actually take a board vote on, or is that something that can be decided upon just by osmosis?
Well, that's why I opened the discussion by asking if anybody wanted to go toward a special election, and everyone agreed no.
Well, I mean, there is a third alternative, was for us to do nothing, and then county supervisor, board of supervisors. So it just feels like we should, I mean, I know it's pedantic, but as a board, take a vote that yes, we are going to make an appointment. I don't know, Ann, what are you telling me?
I think at the end of this conversation, I'm hoping that the board will take a vote on both the decision
Okay,
to make the appointment and the process.
got it, great, okay.
We're at a discussion point right now. There's no resolution yet in front of us, or no motion, I should say.
Yeah.
So I am proceeding on the assumption that the discussion that we want to have is about an appointment process.
Okay.
And we're not yet making anything final, but do you want to just proceed under the tentative assumption that we will add this appointment to our July 8th agenda? And we can continue to discuss, and we'll at the end, we'll make a motion, but should we just proceed as if we are going to tentatively add it to the July 8th agenda? I see Eileen nodding yes. Chris, do you agree to do that?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to proceed, sir.
Okay, so we'll just, that's our working assumption right now. And then if we were able to, if we come to a decision and make a motion today, then hopefully by June 1st or so or 2nd, we could have all this posted if we come to some decision now. So we're well within the time frame. So maybe we should just move now to the sample application that was prepared by the general manager, and take a look at that and see if there's anything that folks would like to comment on or add. And then we still would have to discuss a bit of a process, but at least the first part would be the application.
First, Marty, where did you get this application? I mean, besides the internet.
Yes, I actually did search and I looked at several different applications, and then this one actually is the City of Sonoma's application. But in most cases, I found applications that were standardized, and in most cases, I found questions that were like this or paraphrased slightly differently, but they were the same basic, why do you want to be on the board? What do you think you bring? What are your priorities? I think I added a couple of other ones that I thought might interest the board. I didn't know. And, if you don't like them, certainly we can edit it away.
Well, because to me, it feels like it's a little bit too much.
Okay.
And I would personally just prefer 1, 4, and 8. It kind of makes it more generic, but it gets a bit almost too specific about what somebody wants to do on the board, because something you might change your mind. I think it's more what kind of person are we going to appoint, and I'd rather not get into too much about their specific points of view. Maybe that's just me, but it seems like I'd rather have a little more high level application than all these details, but that's my feeling.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to manage between two screens, so I'm a little behind the curve on being able to comment specifically. Does any other director want to say anything? Right
Yeah,
now?
Chris, when were you appointed? When did we have that meeting? I was trying to search the website and I can't find it easily.
2017.
Yeah, I know it was 2017, but there's a lot of months in
I think it
2017.
was April. August.
August? Okay, thanks.
I want to say August, but maybe I'm. Chris, you were muted, so just FYI.
Yeah, I think it was August. I mean, it's actually.
Thank you. Oh, was just going to jump in. Thank you, Marty. I really do like the application. And I understand Chris's point. I would add maybe questions 2 and 3, and then have just 5 questions. I do think it's relevant since when you run for office, I mean, there's a fair amount of information that goes out about you. But it might be helpful
Right.
to have a little bit, and maybe we could let applicants know that they don't have to be, it doesn't have to be a thesis. It doesn't, you know, it can be a little expansive, but you don't have to,
So if I remember correctly, I heard Rochelle saying like you like questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. And Chris, which other questions did you like?
8.
8. Yeah. Okay. I would also, just to wordsmith a bit, number 3, I would be cautious about saying Kensington, and I would say, what are your top 3 priorities for the Kensington Police Protection and Community Services District? Because it's a very different question than just Kensington writ large, because we only have a certain, areas of jurisdiction. Eileen, do you have anything specific about anything on the application?
No, I was just looking back at some of the questions that we asked, and one that is relevant that we might want to add when we had this opportunity before to appoint someone was, what do you believe are the district's greatest short-term challenges, long-term challenges? I think that would be a relevant question to ask.
So I think I think all these points are really well made and well taken. And if we kind of just combine everything, we eliminate a few questions, we've honed a couple, and I think we get to the objective, which is to, not make it too long or too difficult, try to keep it, at a certain high level. But yet, as Rachel pointed out, when you do run for office, you certainly, put a lot of information out there as a way of helping to make that choice. So I think it's pretty fair. So I'm hearing that questions 1 and 2 would stay as is. I would propose the edit to question 3. That would be the top 3 priorities for the KPPCSD as opposed to Kensington. And in many ways, I mean, that is also related to, but a separate question from Eileen's, which is, what do you believe are the district's, greatest short-term and longer-term challenges? Then question 4, I think, is certainly extremely fitting, as is, I like question 8. So do folks feel like that's a good combination of everybody's kind of concerns and interests?
yes, fine by
Fine with
me.
me.
Okay, so then let me go back to my my staff report here. And then, of course, the information that that follows, which is really important as far as just, straight on eligibility. So I think we have a process, and I'd be willing to try to make the motion. How's that sound? All right, so you all listen carefully and make sure I say this properly.
Sylvia? Sylvia, just
Yes.
one thing. It says
Yeah.
18 years of age and a resident. Do they need to be a U.S. citizen or?
I thought that was written above it.
Well, that's implied by being a registered voter.
They have to be a voter. That's in the state law.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Marty, do you want something else you want to add?
All I just wanted to ask is, if, you know, where it says, if you'd like, please include your resume and answer these questions. If you'd like me to just add something about being concise, because it sounds like you don't want a thesis, right? So just to answer the following questions on a separate sheet of paper, you know, briefly and concisely, or something like that.
Or
I
on a serial box top.
There's that.
I'm not super,
Sure.
yeah, I'm not super great at giving any kind of a word limit, so I wouldn't want to spend time thinking that. But I think, yes, as
Okay.
clearly and concisely as possible. And
Clearly and concisely.
that in of itself is a test.
Right, yeah.
Do
Okay.
you guys think that the resume should be optional, or do you think everyone should?
I'd want to see it. I think
I
it should
think
be.
it's important. I
I think it's
mean,
important, yeah.
a resume is just a resume. It doesn't, I know plenty of people who haven't graduated college who are perfectly capable of doing lots of things. It doesn't mean that that means a qualification, but it helps us understand their.
No, I know, just.
Yeah.
Whether it gives us more information. I mean, if somebody,
Yeah, I think it's a good piece of information. Okay, so then I would like to make a motion that the board will choose as a process for appointing the someone to the vacant seat, an appointment process that would occur at our July 8th regular meeting. And the process includes posting, of course, of this opportunity and the application as soon as possible, but no later than 15 days prior to July 8th, preferably the first week of June. And that all applications would be submitted to the clerk as is written in the application, and distributed to board members prior to the meeting. Do we have to have the folks appear before us and kind of quiz them, or is that optional?
You
No.
don't, but let me make a suggestion that you put in a deadline for the application, so that there's
Right.
plenty of time to review them
Yeah.
before July 8th.
Okay. So Marty, when do you think, I'm going to stop making a resolution because we're not discussing yet, I'm sorry. When do you think you could have all this finalized? And I think we need to discuss where it would be posted. So clearly it would be posted on our website. We could post it in all the places that we post, the announcement could be posted in all the places that we post the regular agenda. And the application should be available online, but would it be also available in hard copy at the office?
Yes, we could make it available for hard copy in the office. Could I just suggest maybe doing a little bit of a backward calendar? If it's going to be July 8th, then how much time going backwards does the board want to have to review the applications? Because that would, you know, if we could do it that way, then I can have more time if there is more time available, right? Versus how quickly can I get it out?
Sure,
Just,
okay.
if that's okay. So I'm thinking, okay, July 8th is your board meeting. Do you want a week? Do you want 10 days? Do you want everything in by the deadline of Monday, you know, I don't know, June 28th, and then you have roughly 10 days, or is a week enough? What do you think?
Well, how are we going to interview the applicants? We can't do it as a board unless we have a meeting for it.
Correct.
Right, so I think
we
last
could
time,
have a subcommittee that would do it, but that seems a little, maybe not the best way to do it. So it seems like if somebody applies, I don't know, how was it done last time?
They interviewed the candidates in open session and took a vote.
Right, so there was no screening process. Whoever applied got it, right.
I don't think there was a screening process. I was
Okay.
wondering that myself, and I couldn't see any signs of it when I looked back through the records, but I did note in my staff report that if there were a lot of applicants, you probably wouldn't want to interview 20 people.
right. I
Then
mean,
how do we screen it?
Well, you can either do a subcommittee or you could do it in an intervening meeting, which means you'd want to have the deadline be sometime before the, when is the last meeting in June? lost track of all the extra
June
meetings.
29th.
29.
I don't know if you'd want to add to that discussion of the applications in the event that you need to narrow them down, but that would be an option.
I have seen an example where if there were more than X number, that's when that kind of screening process would kick in. So, I mean, we could say if there are more than 5, if that's comfortable, or, you know, then we would engage in a screening process.
Yes.
What do you guys think? Agreed?
So leave a slot at the last meeting in June for potential screening.
So then maybe set the deadline to get an application in at something like June 20th.
Yeah.
Sounds
Or
about
maybe the 25th. The 25th is a Friday.
Hmm.
Well, I think that to try to get the agenda out, I mean, you could do it, but the 20th,
Oh, okay. I see what your point. Yeah.
it's pretty early.
Yeah, that's still a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
Well, the 20th is a
that
Sunday.
means
So why don't you make it
21st.
21st?
So applications submitted by 6/21. And that means, Marty, everything would have to be up and out, you know, by, I would say, you know, 6:05, 6:06, meaning June 5th or 6th.
Well, just as a reminder, you don't need to post them 15 days before you have the initial conversation. You need to post the notice 15 days before the actual appointment. Now, I agree that you're going to want to have the applications in hand well before you have any kind of screening conversation, but there's a little bit of flexibility there.
Okay.
So quick question here, clarifying. So the announcement, I'm guessing, I mean, we don't have to do a staff report. We don't have to do an agenda for this. It's like a quick, you know, 1-pager announcement kind of thing. And then the revised applications we just discussed, right? And that's really all we have to do. And then the posting, whether it's Facebook and, you know, the website, and have it available at City Hall, sorry, have it available at the safety building, and then have it available. Well, the announcement would be at other places too, but maybe not the application. Yeah, I think I can get all that done by next week.
You know, I have a problem with using Facebook for anything. And I don't know if we ever have done this social media policy, but Facebook is not a legitimate posting site for a government agency, in my opinion. It's destroying democracy. I think you can post it on like we do with our meetings, but I would not post on Facebook.
Well, what about Nextdoor?
Well,
Has a broad, you know, these are, it's about getting the message out.
Can't we use it as just one of many avenues for
No,
posting the announcement?
no, I
Just the
really-
announcement?
No, I don't want to support anything with Facebook. It is destroying democracy. But anyway, I thought we had a social policy that prohibited posting on Facebook, but I guess we don't.
We never did, because of the pandemic, that was delayed indefinitely. And honestly, the draft policy that we had subjected any postings on Facebook to town, you know, administration control, but it didn't forbid it.
I mean, I agree that it is not a substitute for other places, but I think it is important that we reach as many people as possible. So I would encourage the general manager to post in all the usual places, but also to try and, you know, expand to other electronic means. So, I mean, I think Nextdoor and Facebook are really the only other 2 places that we have much of a presence. So, okay. So that means that basically, by the end of next week, by Friday, it would have to be posted, because I think next Friday is the 4th, if I'm correct. So that would be by the 5th or 6th, it would have to be done. So Friday is the last working day.
Is that doable, Marty, or do you need a couple other days? Because I know you have some staff that are
I mean, I'm going to be working a lot because I'm going to be on vacation Wednesday through Friday next week. So we'll just add this to my to-do list. So it'll be done by Tuesday.
Well, I
I
know,
mean, I think that these changes are very modest, and I think I can make a quick flyer that announces everything. And if you're all okay with it, run it by President Hassai that it's okay, and get the word out. And PD can help me posting in different places. And I think it's not difficult to get this out by Tuesday. So, and if I had trouble, I'd tell you.
so I will now try to make the motion. I don't know how to do this succinctly, so, and feel free to jump in,
Will do.
but I will do my best. So I'd like to make a motion that reaffirms the process by which the board intends to make to fill the vacancy left by the resignation of Director Madavi. That process is an appointment process, which would be scheduled for our July 8th regular meeting. We are requesting that applications be submitted by the 21st of June. Should there be more than 5 candidates, the board would discuss a screening process at its July 29th meeting. And
June 29th.
sorry, thank you, June 29th meeting. And the application is, as we have discussed, that was presented by the general manager, but includes questions 1 and 2. 3 is modified to replace Kensington with KPPCSD. Question 4 and question 8, with the addition of the question proposed by Director Natoli. What do you believe are the district's greatest short-term and long-term challenges? Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Director Deppie seconds. So I will take the roll. Vice President Natoli,
Yes.
Director Sheris Watt,
We don't require public comment
Um,
on this process
That's a good point.
Public comment was taken before,
before we discuss.
however, given the nature of the conversation, you may certainly wish to have more public comment before you.
and I do not see any attendees with
Oh,
comment.
there you go.
Oh, there goes Linnea.
Sorry, I just,
Sorry,
Thanks, Michelle.
I don't think that in your motion that you named July 8th as the, maybe you did, but I don't think you did.
I did name July 8th as
Oh, okay, I'm
the
sorry.
meeting at which we would consider the application
That you
in
choose
June
the-
29th.
Okay,
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Back to taking roll. So we are taking roll on the motion, and I'll just do it again so we have a consistent roll. Vice President Natoli,
Yes.
Director Sheris Watt,
yes.
Director Deppie,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So the motion passes 4-0. So that concludes the purpose of our special meeting today. We are going into closed session, and will I have to come back after our closed session to announce, or should I do that at the beginning of our next regular meeting?
You should come back at the end of the closed session and the public meeting. You should also, before we go into closed session, call for public comments on the matter that's been agendized for the closed session.
Yes, I was going to do that. Okay. So before we go into closed session, is there any public comment on the item that's been agendized for the closed session agenda? Seeing none, we will adjourn to closed session, and I will have to come back to this link later to announce if there is anything to announce from the closed session. And with that, we are going to be leaving for a different link. So this link is going to stay open, I guess, or closed and then reopened.
You'll have to close it in order to open up another one.
Okay. I think that is a pretty safe bet that there will be nothing of great import coming back out. Normally those things are how they go. So thanks for coming and attending for those who did. And I will see my colleagues shortly in another room. Okay.